and RobbyG. We are live. Welcome everybody to our very first episode of Wino Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Happy Wednesday. Wednesday's a good day.
Happy Wednesday, winos.
And who else out there is a wino besides me? Yeah? No, nobody? Anyone?
Lots of winos out there.
Lots of winos, yes. So my name is Gina, and I'm the founder and cheese whiz at Venissimo Cheese. And this here?
I'm RobbyG. I am the professor of cheese and the Academy of Cheese manager for Venissimo.
For a long time now.
Cheesemonger, cheese lover.
Yes, and tenured professor.
More than 10 years.
Right?
Get it straight.
Wait, of the Academy though.
The Academy
right?
of Cheese is now, is it 10 years for the Academy of Cheese?
It totally is.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah, so you're tenured.
Teaching people in San Diego for a decade.
For a decade,
about cheese.
Yes. Cheese lovers about cheese.
How exciting.
Yeah, it is really, really great.
And what's interesting is we're continuing on the tradition and the education, but things have switched up a little bit lately.
Yeah, this virtual stuff, kind of cool, kind of still weird.
It's been a strange time, but we have learned so much, and we have to take something positive out of it. We have decided to continue on with the virtual tastings.
Yes, exactly.
And go with a more regular routine of every Wednesday we are going to pick either a varietal or style of wine, and we're going to do our 4 cheese plate. Did I say every Wednesday? Every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday. Mm-hmm.
So the next one will be 2 weeks from today.
Correct.
And in addition to that, every Sunday we're going to do a plate and just kind of talk about everything that's good in the world of cheese and life and etc.
Exactly. We're going to call them our jam sessions.
Yeah.
Talk sessions, just
Sunday
good
sessions.
Topics. And it's all going to be good news.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to dub it the Good News Network. Everything we do, actually, I think is Good News Network. We're only going to talk about good things.
How could you not be happy and think of good things when you're eating cheese and drinking wine?
Exactly. So let's get to the point.
On a beautiful evening in San Diego.
Yes, from our studios in downtown San Diego. That's right.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get started. So, what we're talking about today is we're crazy for Cava.
Yeah.
And I personally am crazy for Cava, so I'm anxious to share that with you and kind of the things that I like. If you purchased a Cava from us, or if you had your own Cava, no better time than the present to pour yourself some Cava, as I kind of tell you what's going to happen today. So, you probably already have your cheese plate, and feel free to start nibbling on some of the things that are on there. Rob's going to tell you about each of the cheeses on there, but let me kind of share with some of the other things that are on here for you today. So you've got Marcona almonds. Those are also Spanish, like the Cava. We've also got fig jam, little palate cleanser in between, something sweet to go with everything that's salty. We've got dried fruit, dried apricots, and then this little ditty that looks really strange is a dried pear. It's really fun. If you've never tried one, you're going to love it. Give
That's
that
not
one a try.
an ear?
It does look like, who cut off his ear? Maybe it is. We'll say it is.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh's ear. This one you do not want to miss. Next time when we're going to do Martini Mondays someday, I think. After we do Tipsy Tuesdays, Thursdays. I don't know. Anyways, this is a blue cheese stuffed Spanish olive, and it's a Gordal olive, which means the fat one. Did you know that? It's a Spanish olive.
Gordal means fat.
Gordal means fat. So this is the fat one.
Fatty.
Stuffed with blue cheese. This is my absolute favorite little yummy treat. Eat it whenever, but be prepared to be blown away. And we sell these little blue cheese stuffed olives, by the way. I think those are the fun things on your plate to just nibble about. And then for dessert, you've got a Choco Higo, which is a chocolate-covered fig. And higo is the Spanish word for fig. So we're doing kind of lots of Spanish things today in honor of the Spanish Cava.
And as we go through each of the cheeses, we'll hold up the cheeses so there's no confusion as to which one.
Yes, because I know it is a jumble of a thing.
Yeah.
And thanks for bearing with us, but we will try to do better on showing you what the cheeses are. Oh, and I see that a lot of you are already chatting. If you have a YouTube account, you can chat with us. I'm going to try to field some questions and answer some questions as we go. So shoot them my way, and we'll try to answer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What else? I think that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what we're going to get started.
Yeah, I mean, you should have 4 cheeses. If you if you have the Cava that we supplied at Venissimo, that's great. If you have your own Cava at home, that's great. If you don't have a Cava, open up anything and just enjoy with the cheeses.
But bubbles if you can, right? Because I think everything's better with bubbles.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking specifically about Cava, so we're going to give a lot of just information and history and a lot of stuff that about Cava specifically, but if you have any sparkling wine, it'll do just fine with the cheese plate today.
Perfect. We already says greetings. We've got some winos. Now so we're saying hello, fellow winos. We'll start with that. So 2 fellow winos and Wino Wednesday everywhere. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. And okay, I have to do a disclaimer. Rob, I did not come up with Wino Wednesdays, and a couple friends of mine out there probably know that. But I figure, it's something that can be shared. It's a universal term for these times, right?
You know what? Like, I'm going to be honest. I'm pretty sure that when I was in college, it was Tipsy Tuesday, Wino Wednesday,
you already been there.
Thirsty Thursday. I mean, I don't think. I don't think we're the first, or your friends probably weren't the first to come up with that.
Okay, very good then. So, the disclaimer has been spoken. But Cava. Tell us the history, because I love it. It really is Spain's version of champagne, right?
Yeah, it is Spain's version of champagne. It's not quite it hasn't been around for as long as champagne. So champagne, as a lot of you probably know, is named for a region in France called Champagne, and it is one of not all of 3 grapes, and it's Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and the third and least known grape is Pinot Meunier for Champagne.
Pinot Meunier,
They call it the Black Riesling. It's a really dark red grape. But the grapes have to be grown in the region, and they have to be made in a very specific way, and that is in the Champagne method, or method champenois.
Yeah.
And it is kind of I think it's like a 7-step process, and it requires skill and time and hard work, and it's the reason for really for champagne being more expensive. A lot of marketing goes behind it too, and that affects the price. But the one of the most important steps in the process is the fermentation. So fermentation happens twice. The first time that fermentation happens, the grape juice basically turns into alcohol, to wine.
That's so weird. Yep.
And then the second fermentation is where it gets the bubbles.
Yeah, and I was reading about the Cava. They do it in the same style, like you said, as champagne. During that second fermentation is when the bubbles happen. They do it in the exact same method as champagne, right?
Exact same method. And the defining characteristic is that secondary fermentation happens in the bottle itself, rather than in a big vat or something.
Yeah.
It happens in the bottle. So that's like the key characteristic to the champagne method. So Cava is where Champagne is named for its region. Cava is the Catalan, which is the region. Catalonia is the region where Barcelona is.
Yeah, that's the most famous Catalonian city.
Yeah, they're known for obviously the city of Barcelona, very classy city. It's kind of like a mix between San Francisco and Paris. That's how I always describe it.
Yes, for sure. The hills, the
it's
parks.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
And lots of great artists and art there, and just great museums. I mean, everything, all high culture. But the word cava comes from the Catalan word for cave or cellar. And so they used to call it champagne until champagne started getting really strictly defined. And then they said, well, let's call it something different so that it doesn't get confused. So the champagne method was first introduced to Catalonia in the late 1900s, around 1870. Okay. And there was a guy who went to Champagne, learned how to make wine in that way, brought it back to the region. It's very different, and we talk about this a lot with cheese. And a term I use a lot is, you are what you eat. So cheese is a direct reflection of the diet of the animal. So whatever vegetation comes from that place, it comes through in the milk, and the cheese then tastes like that place. It's a reflection of that place. So same thing with wine. So just because they use the Champagne method, it's very different because the grapes are different. It's not Pinot Meunier, it's not Chardonnay, it's not Pinot Noir, which is used in Champagne. There's 5 grapes
that go into it. That was a good question. That's a question that came up. Which 5
Cava.
grapes? Yeah.
So the 5 grapes, I had to write it down because the only one that I was really familiar with is Chardonnay. Okay. So that's the best known of the grapes, at least for us. There's one called Paralava. There's one called Zarello, Macabeo, and the 5th one is called Subirat or Malvasia.
Wow, those are distinctive grapes that we don't have so much of here.
So totally different grapes. Each grape adds its own characteristic to the wines, and then the other difference is the terroir. The earth is different. So in Champagne, you have that really chalky, limestoney soil. It's a little bit different. in the region in Catalonia. And by the way, the region itself is called the Penedès, and it's about 30 miles southwest of the city of Barcelona.
And incidentally, that's close where this the Casas del Mar comes from. And it's named the house by the sea because that is exactly where this vineyard comes from. Some of you may have chosen the rosé version of this, some of you the Blanc de Blanc, the white version of this. But both from the same family who's been making wine in this land for over 100 years, so that's kind of cool.
So they were one of the first producers.
Yeah, it's super cool.
And another fun little stats I read, there's about 200 producers in the area. Cava can be made in a couple other small regions in Spain, but about 95% of it comes from the Penedès right there.
That tiny little area. That's great.
And I mentioned the secondary fermentation, which is where the still wine becomes bubbly. And that happens in the bottle. When the secondary fermentation happens in the bottle, there's sediment. There's little gunk that kind of forms in the bottom of the bottle. And when they put it in the permanent bottle for the secondary fermentation to happen, they put a temporary cap on it, because at some point they're going to have to open up the cap and get all that gunk
filter
out.
That, yeah.
Yeah, and in France, like in Champagne, they have these guys that are called riddlers.
Yes, the riddlers are the holes. That's that wood with the holes in it. Wine.
And that contraption is called a gyropallet, and that was actually invented in the Penedès in Catalonia. So they actually
not by the French.
Nope, it was. It's meant for riddling, and that is as the wine is in the cellar and it's aging, or in the cava aging, they like tip it every once in a while until all that sediment or that gunk gets into the cap, into the neck, and then they'll freeze it, and then they'll shoot all that gunk out, and then it becomes a really smooth cava sparkling wine.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's really the why the Champagne method is different than other methods.
Super cool. And Cava does the same. So that makes it good. And Cava is much more normally always affordable than Champagne. But I think some of the flavors are good. Yeah.
And that's because it's not called Champagne.
Exactly.
I mean, same thing with Cremant, the other French sparkling.
Yes. I heard that they used to call themselves the Champagne of Spain.
Yeah.
But then Champagne got all mad, and now the European Union won't let them do that. It's political, this whole mess of bubbles. So we'll just say that we just love the bubbles and go with that, right?
And so many
Cava.
Similarities, because I know there's stories like that in the world of cheese as well.
Yes.
Let's
get to that.
Well, we're gonna talk about a couple cheeses. Actually, one cheese especially that is fiercely protected.
Shall we talk to that now?
Shall we do that first?
Why not? Since we're talking about protection. Okay. Which one would that be?
That would be this one.
All right, everybody. So cheese number 1. This is the single most popular cheese in the world. And, cheers, this one is Parmigiano-Reggiano. Now you can tell it's very golden in color. You can see the crystallization in it. You can smell it. It smells like Parmigiano-Reggiano. I think everybody kind of knows it. It smells like pasta.
Yeah.
It smells like an Italian kitchen. So
this
is Parmigiano-Reggiano.
Sweet, tropical.
Yeah, definitely. Notes.
Nutty.
Definitely sweet. So we're going to start with that one because of the protection and the names and stuff. So.
Yeah. So there's different types of pairings. There's reasons. There's various reasons why we'll pick various cheeses. Okay. So one of the seemingly obvious choices for doing a sparkling wine is to go with a textural pairing, and usually you think of more of like a triple cream or a soft cheese, and to have the bubbles kind of scrub your palate. Well, we're going the opposite direction here, and if the more like traditional sparkling wine that gets paired with Parmigiano-Reggiano is either Prosecco or Lambrusco, which is from the region,
and the bubbles and the good one. Yep.
Yeah, and so but we're doing it with the Cava, and Parmigiano-Reggiano is the most popular cheese in the world.
Yeah, single
cheese.
Origin cheese. Someone would say cheddar is the most popular style in the world, right?
Cheddar and mozzarella are more popular styles, but Parmigiano-Reggiano most popular cheese in the world. So I think there's 4 provinces in Emilia-Romagna that can make this cheese. It has to be cow's milk. It has to be aged a minimum of 12 months, and the cows have to graze within a certain area. The cheese was first protected in 1955.
So not that long ago.
No, but the recipe or the cheese has been made in the same way since like the 12th century. So
That's crazy,
So
right?
that's a long time.
That's a real long time. It to make made exactly the same for that long, and it continues to this day that same way.
And so Parmigiano-Reggiano is just the names of the town, some of the provinces where it comes from. Parma and Reggio Emilia that's where the cows are eating. That's what the cheese is going to taste like. Those pastures.
It's so good.
Awesome, right?
Yeah.
This is about a 26-month parm, I believe.
Yeah, and it's so crunchy. And you guys, like, I used to always think Parmigiano, you can only put it on pasta. You can't just eat it. So wrong. Yeah, you can just eat it, and I just love it to shave it, or just take a hunk of it. We have a gentleman that just, can you believe, was gifted a whole wheel of Parmigiano-Reggiano, which we just cut open the other day. You can watch the little video on Instagram. Anyways.
So to give you some ideas about, what were we going to say? Something about milking?
No, not chopping. I was like, wouldn't it be good to put a wedge in your fridge? Like, put a 3-pound wedge in your fridge. Just let it sit there with a little cleaver. Like our handy Benissimo cheese cleaver.
Oh, I'm going to give some stats.
What? Are you going to let me chunk it up? That's what I'm just saying. And then just chunk it up when you're hungry. Midnight snack. That's what I'm saying. Best midnight snack ever. Go ahead. Now you are on.
Sorry. I get excited when we talk about cheese.
I know,
okay?
cheese. We're going to talk over each other.
So we're talking about the big wheels. And so they weigh anywhere from 85 to 100 pounds. So for a 90 pound or so wheel, do you know how much milk goes into that?
Okay, I'm going to do some math in my head. 90 pounds?
Yeah.
900 gallons.
150 gallons.
150 gallons. Okay, so that's 150 milk jugs goes into one wheel of Parmigiano-Reggiano, and some of those makers have thousands of wheels in their warehouse. That's a lot of milk.
So then I
this?
read this one.
Okay, no, that's ridiculous.
There's a little under 400 producers in the area, and by the way, no matter where you are in the world, whether you are in San Diego or in Italy, it all was made in the same place, is made in the same way. So a little bit less than 400 producers, 10 million pieces of cheese a year. They
10
produce.
million wheels?
10 million, I say pieces, but yeah, that's a wheel.
From that teeny region of Italy.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's remarkable. It's no wonder that's like one of their main exports of that country.
Think of why they're so protective of the name.
Yeah. And the real deal, when you taste it. The question came up, Rob, of talking about the crystals in there.
Oh, yeah.
Crystallization.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that without getting too scientific on what makes the crystals? This was from James.
James, they're called tyrosine crystals, and it's basically proteins or amino acids. And after a certain amount of time, it happens in the aging room. Parm has to be aged. It's got to be a minimum age of a year for it to even take on the name and come out of the aging room with the name Parmigiano-Reggiano. By that time, it's already got some crystals in it. Yeah. The longer it ages, the more crystally, the more crunchy it will get.
Yeah. And crunchies aren't limited to Parm. Crunchies can be found in Goudas. They can be found in Cheddars.
Gouda, cheddar.
Yeah, crunchies is more fun to say than the tyrosine.
Yeah. Tyrosine is a technical term for it.
Exactly.
But, I was like, thinking about how many cheeses that is, and then if you think about it, anything that's called prosciutto di Parma is also those pigs that get turned into the prosciutto. They live on the whey from the process.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So picture this, people. They make the cheese, and of course, cheese is curds and whey. The whey gets not drained into the gutter or thrown away. They actually collect that and spray it over the feed for the pigs.
Nothing goes to waste.
Nothing goes to waste. The pigs eat that. I swear you can taste that in the prosciutto when you get the prosciutto di Parma. Yeah.
To me, I can taste like a little bit of sweetness and kind of nuttiness in the prosciutto. It's really obviously thinly sliced, like really pink and just lean. Oh, it's amazing.
But you get that. Yeah. So Parmigiano, excellent eating cheese and excellent with bubbles. I always love it with a Prosecco. you can eat it with, it goes with anything, but I love it with the bubbles.
And on that same token, you know, there's some of the aged Goudas, like there's one called Euphoria, which is an aged sheep's milk, which is always a favorite too with bubbles. If you, no matter what kind of bubbles you have, it's a kind of a sweet sheep's milk Gouda. They're really fun to go. It's a textural pairing, but it's a different type of textural pairing.
Yeah.
So it's really fun.
So that's fun. So speaking of texture, why don't we jump to the triple cream, because then that's a different texture. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay. So next one. This one you cannot miss on your plate. It's the Softy, you guys. This beautiful, beautiful cheese is a California native, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Triple creamy.
Triple cream. Dreamy.
Creamy, dreamy. Mount Tam, it's called, and Mount Tam is from Cowgirl Creamery in Northern California. They are, if anyone's been to the Ferry Building up in San Francisco, they have a storefront there. They have a retail shop, and but the cheese is, and the milk comes from the North Bay. So is it Petaluma, I believe?
Yep, exactly.
And
Petaluma, Sonoma.
it's cow's milk. They've got a few cheeses in their repertoire. But this is their flagship. This is their main cheese, and it is it's named after Mount Tamalpais in the North Bay. So it's a beautiful mountain up there. It's also I have to give you a little fun fact. Tupac Shakur went to Mount Tamalpais High for a couple of years.
Seriously?
When he lived in Marin City, yes.
So we could call this two-pack. We could come up with something cute for that.
We should put that on the sign, something about that.
Yeah, I think so. I see a revision in the future. Okay, that is a good
little tidbit for you.
Yeah. I'm going to eat this whole piece while you're talking.
It's organic. It's made with organic milk, and you don't see that a lot. That's something that a lot of like newer California cheeses will boast. I'm not sure how long this one's been around, but I'll say it's probably been around for 20, 30 years maybe.
Yeah, I think they just had a 20th anniversary or something. Cowgirl.
Yeah.
No, 25. You might be
25
right.
ish. I mean, so
it's creamy.
It's not quite as old as Humble Fog, which is by another iconic California producer.
Yeah. But can I make a point on this, Rob? Because we're talking about the triple cream. First of all, triple cream and bubbles, that's the classic combo, right? Like you touched on earlier. You get something creamy on your tongue, you want bubbles to scrub it away. And welcome to downtown San Diego and the world of sirens. Hang in there, everyone. But I noticed on this, the textural differences inside the piece of cheese, and I hope everybody can have it gobble the whole thing.
That's a really good point.
And if you see it, Rob, you can see that the innard, yours still is a good piece.
Yeah.
The inside's still really firm, the very center, but the outside's really runny. The runnier the outside and the thicker that runniness is, the older the cheese is, because as it ripens, it gets runnier. And I think it gets better. I love it when it's almost liquid, that's much more unctuous. I kind of just like a human, you get a little older and a little more crusty, and but just a little more delicious and a little more character.
And that's all preference. I mean, some people like it mild, and they like it really young. Some people like it completely ripe and runny and stinky.
I like it runny.
The stinkier, the better.
Yeah, because it just has a much more buttery. It's better than butter. Butter's good though too.
Use in place of butter.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time, and we were just talking about this with Parmigiano-Reggiano. Brie is a protected cheese that's protected by the French system that also protects Champagne, actually, because the wines and cheeses are all protected under the same system. So this we say is a Brie style cheese.
Yes.
Because it's the same recipe, it's made in the same way, but the milk comes from Northern California.
Right, so it's not Brie. We got a question from James. And James, is it creamy because it's a higher fat content? And in the case of triple creams, the answer is yes. Triple cream, 70% milk fat or higher makes it a triple cream.
I think it's like 70 to 82 or 83%. Basically butter fat.
Basically butter fat. But can I give you this is fun that we have these together, Rob.
Yeah.
Fun tidbit, okay? Ounce per ounce. You might think, which one has the most calorie ounce per ounce? Parmigiano-Reggiano, the aged Parmigiano, or the triple cream Brie style cheese?
You asking me?
I'm asking anybody now, because whoever maybe answers that question might win the Venissimo cheese cleaver.
But you can guess, and you have a 50-50 chance.
You have a 50-50 chance. Somebody wants to bring it in. Which one packs more calories per ounce? Parmigiano or the triple cream brie. We'll get back to that if I get a few answers, right? But 70% or higher in the triple cream. Yes. Should we go to low fat now that we talked about fat?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, that's this guy.
So
All right.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Gina.
Oh, do you want to talk about that?
No, you talk first. I'm getting too excited.
Okay, we're talking about, the fatty triple cream brie, but now we're going to go to the low fat. Naturally lowest fat there is.
It's low fat for cheese.
Yes.
It's not really low fat.
That's this one, everybody. It's cut very thin on your plate, and it's very white. It's called Naked Goat because...
And I see that it's kind of sweating. So
is sweating.
that's what you want from a hard cheese. You want those oils and you want all that stuff to come out.
Yeah.
And it'll happen if you just let the cheese sit out, especially on a hot day like today. Let it sit out for at least a half an hour, probably more like an hour.
More an hour. Always, 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 always serve your cheese at room temperature. It's so much better. Yeah.
So that's we've talked about different types of pairings. We've talked about textural pairing. Of course, you have flavor pairings, which is similar flavors or opposite flavors. We say complementary or contrasting. And then there's regional pairing, and that is based off that same concept that we always go back to, which is the taste of place. What grows together goes together. So the next two cheeses, the last two cheeses, are both from Spain. And so the one that Gina was just holding up is called Naked Goat.
Yes.
And
again, the whitest one on your plate and the thinnest cut. Okay.
And what type of milk is Naked Goat made?
Okay, that's not going to be a question for a prize.
Who's buried in Grant's tomb? It's goat's milk. It is so it's really the same cheese as another one called Drunken Goat, and it's from a region called Murcia. And it's on the Mediterranean. It's kind of like southeast coast in Spain. It's unique in that it is an aged goat's milk. Typically goat's milk is made and served fairly young. I mean, within a couple months, and that's the more
what
commonly
you see on your salads and
crumbly kind of the softer texture. So this has got a little age on it. This is aged for about 100 days. Where for the Drunken Goat, if anyone knows that cheese, they will. It's called Drunken Goat because they soak the cheese in a red wine. For this one, they don't soak it.
Hence, it's naked.
Naked. I was gonna. The names of cheeses are so fun to break down. This one's pretty straightforward. There's an Italian cheese. We were just talking about restaurants opening, and you were saying you went out to a pizza place last night. A lot of times when you go to for pizza, they have something called scamorza, and it's a smoked mozzarella. That's what scamorza is. But the name itself means without a shirt. That's what the name scamorza means.
Okay, but I don't understand. Smoked scamorza without a shirt.
So mozzarella is a rindless cheese.
Yes.
So that's what they're saying. They're saying because it's a mozzarella. Mozzarella is a fresh cheese.
Has
therefore,
no shirt.
It doesn't have a rind.
Okay.
They're saying it's rindless or shirtless without a shirt. I'm just telling you what it. So maybe it's
somebody
a stretch.
drank too much prosecco
Maybe,
when they came up with that name.
too much Chianti.
Too much Chianti. Yeah.
But that's so same idea. Naked Goat just means that there's no wine or whatever.
Yep,
I mean, they can use other
goat.
things.
Yeah.
They can use other things on the rind as well.
Yeah. It's interesting to know that you can have a goat cheese though that's soft and creamy or aged like this. That almost has a texture like a Parmigiano. It doesn't have the crunchies that the farm has, but I mean it definitely is goaty. To me, goaty is a true flavor profile, right? In cheeses. It's gamey. Goaty's
very
gamey.
gamey.
Yeah, it is very gamey. But this is actually a milder goat. But why we were talking about goat being contrasting to the triple cream is that these are naturally lower in calories.
Yeah,
Goat milk. Yeah.
They are the least caloric. They're the least fatty of any of the milk types. They are. They're also they're the easiest for us to digest as human beings. So there is lactose, but it's there's not quite as much lactose as in cow's milk, especially. Sheep's milk is a little easier to digest as well. Also, the lactose will go away as a cheese ages. So a cheese like a Parmigiano-Reggiano, you're really safe if you're lactose intolerant.
Lactose,
And also, remember, we are all lactose intolerant. All of us.
We are?
Well, Gina and I are around so much cheese on a daily basis that we have built up more of a tolerance
For the lactose, yes.
than most people, but
Yeah. But the goats are good. Goats, I think, with bubbles and the light white wines are always a good bet. All right? I mean, it's the lightness of it. I don't know why you would kind of think, and they can go with a red, but I do love them with the whites and the bubbles.
Yeah, so another sort of guideline, a very general guideline, is you try to match up intensity or strength of the wine with the cheese or whatever the food is, whatever the beverage is. You try to match up strength. So you go kind of lighter with light, stronger with strong. You try to taste in order, and typically because goat's milk is less fatty, they tend to be a little bit milder or a little bit like less rich. I mean, other than that kind of goatiness or gaminess that you get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. True.
So a lot of the styles that are typically made with sheep or cow's milk, those are the ones that tend to just be super rich, over the top. The stinky French cheeses, the some of the Alpines, like a lot of the blues.
Exactly, more intense. So we've got our goat with the lowest calories. We're going to get to the winner now, Rob, of the highest ounce per ounce calories from the Parm or the triple cream. And the winner of this, give me your finger. No, these are really sharp. The winner of this cleaver is Kay Evans, who correctly guessed that ounce for ounce Parmigiano-Reggiano has more calories than the triple cream brie. So Kay Evans, I will connect with you after to see where you would like to pick up your Venissimo cheese cleaver. We will have that ready for you. But yeah, when you're having them grate your Parm over your pasta, if you're worried about calories, A, don't be, because it's delicious and you want to live and have a good fun time, so don't worry about it. But B, you're getting a lot of calories in the Parm, but it's so delicious, who cares?
I mean, if you think about it, if you put out a quarter pound of Parm and a quarter pound of a triple cream, you're probably not going to be able to eat the quarter pound. Maybe you will, I don't know. Quarter pound of a Mount Tam, I could do it.
Oh, I could do that too. I could not eat a quarter pound.
I don't think I
Parmigiano
could. That's what I'm saying.
This was an ounce, you guys, pretty much, that I think we gave each piece. That's a lot of cheese.
A little bit goes a long way. Yeah. If you think about it, for the softer cheeses, for the triple creams, they taste like butter, and you would think that it's just all fat, and it kind of is, but there's also a lot of moisture in the cheese. So because there's more moisture in the cheese, a lot of that moisture is water.
That's true. Yeah.
And so you don't have so much of that in the Parm.
You got all the milk solids.
It's
why.
Condensed.
That's the answer of why it has more calories.
And with a Parm, I mean, that cheese will start as a lot bigger of a cheese, and then it'll shrink over time. Yeah. As all that moisture evaporates.
Yep, exactly.
It just becomes more and more
dense.
Dense.
A question came up on the Cava, Kay Evans. The difference between the rosé Cava and for those of you that have the white Cava. And I will tell you the biggest difference. The rosé Cava is a little sweeter. It's going to have more berry flavors to it. So I personally think it goes better with the saltier cheeses. The Blanc de Blanc, if you have the all white Cava, that one's a little more dry. So that one to me goes with the oilier cheeses, which we're getting to now with that goat, and then the next one. But I think they're all good. That's why we picked these cheeses, that they would go with either one. But that's the difference. With the Cabo that has the redness to it, they've left the skins in there. It imparts a little bit more boldness and sweetness to it. The white Cavas are going to be much more bright. I think the white's going to go best personally with the Mount Tam, that dryness and the creaminess. But they're all going to be equally good with this cheese plate, to answer that question. Then we had a question, about the rosemary. You guys, so we use rosemary. It's beautiful, right? But rosemary and cheese are super good partners and friends. I think if you have any more of your goat left, the naked goat, these two together, magic. A lot of cheeses we get, the goats actually graze on rosemary, and you can taste, like Rob, talked about, because they eat rosemary, the milk tastes like rosemary. They go really great together. So personally, if you like rosemary, take a little stem. What do you call it when it's a rosemary petal?
Sprig?
No, it's a sprig. No, don't eat the whole sprig. That might be excessive.
Oh, a petal.
Just a petal.
Sorry.
Eat a rosemary petal with the cheese. It's awesome. Rosemary and cheese go really good together. So that's why it's out there. But try it with the naked goat. And Oh, somebody brought up the fact of drizzling balsamico on the Parmigiano-Reggiano.
gosh.
James, yes. Drizzle balsamico on anything. Ice cream.
Well,
Drizzle balsamico on anything.
I
Yes.
mentioned prosciutto, and we've done a couple of these trips where we go to the region.
You did. Yeah.
So we call it the Holy Trinity. That region right there, Modena, is where they make the best balsamico in the world. So I mean, we've gotten to taste some that are like 40, 50 years old, and one droplet of it is all you need.
Yeah.
But between the balsamico and the prosciutto, Parmigiano-Reggiano,
That's
it's really
food heaven.
I would say when we first put together the trips that we do these international cheese trips. We were like, let's put together our dream itinerary, and we started with Emilia-Romagna because of the Holy Trinity. That's where it all started, and we built around that.
Built around that. Yeah. There's no better food region. I don't
think so either.
They lack seafood there, I would say. That's
okay.
lacking. But they also are very close to truffles. And I apologize. We've got some road work being done, so I hope everyone can hear us. Shut up down there. We got to work on our studio sound. We'll work on that in the future as well. Construction. Focus. Anyway, the Holy Trinity of food. You're exactly right. That's awesome.
It's really close to northern Italy. I mean, it's like central northern Italy itself, but you drive just north and you're in truffle territory. Great wines like Barolo.
Alps, the Alpines.
The Alps, the hazelnuts. There's all kinds of great stuff produced there.
Stop.
I'll stop.
Yeah, it's enough.
I'm sorry. Culatello's another one that's from the area.
Start there. We're gonna do a meat. We'll have Wino Wednesday with meat. And
We can do a charcuterie one.
Yes, for sure. But we had a comment too, Carol, and I agree with Carol. Sometimes you don't need any of the extras.
Yeah.
You just need the cheese.
I agree.
It's really good. Yes, Carol. I agree.
We have to fill out the plates, Carol. We have to fill out the plates, and
I do like the almonds.
You know, as far as like the fresh herbs go, they are fantastic with fresh cheeses, with young cheeses. A lot of young goat cheeses do really well with herbs. But also, I have to be honest, like, it's a great garnish. It looks really good to have the contrast on the plate with the color. And so there's many reasons.
Is rosemary the parsley of this decade? Because remember parsley, you put parsley on all the plates and stuff. Now is rosemary the new parsley? Oh.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
We'll do a singing. Oh, we'll have a singing session one of these days.
You can sing.
We'll sing to cheese.
I'll dance.
You'll dance. Okay, this is a deal. I will sing it for you. We'll dance. This is perfect.
This is if you ever catch us in the shop before we're open. That's probably what you're gonna see.
Yeah, it's best. Yeah, with or without bubbles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we've talked goat, and we've talked about the cows, and now we're gonna jump to the next one, which brings in.
Yeah. So this one's called Campo de Montalban.
A very, very fancy name for a beautiful cheese. This one you're gonna tell from the rind. It's going to be dark on the outer side. Looks like this, little golden again. Very sweaty. This one's sweaty, and you can tell us why.
Yeah. So this one is really fun. It's a mixed milk cheese. So the milks are goat, sheep, and cow. You got all three in there, just no buffalo milk. And it's from Spain. It is.
I love it.
So
it's a fancy manchego.
It is a fancy manchego. In fact, it was considered a manchego up until about 1985. And then manchego became strictly defined, and they said manchego must be 100% sheep's milk. So the cheesemaker that makes the Campo de Montalban, they also make manchego, but when it was defined, they had to come up with their own name for this cheese because it's mixed milk. And the percentage is that it's 40% goat and sheep, and then 60% cow.
Okay, it does have that cowness. I mean, it definitely has a richness that I think you get from the cow. You just get that.
And the sheep's milk is that fattiness is part of what's also going to make it sweat a lot and give it that color.
Because sheep milk inherently has the most natural fats in it. It's a very fatty milk.
Yeah.
That makes it very rich, but then the oil seeps out. But when it happens, Rob, it doesn't matter. You can put it back in the fridge. It's okay if it is weeping.
Yeah.
We call it weeping, which is so sad because it's not crying. I don't think it's
or
crying.
Sweating. It could be sweating.
Is sweating good or weeping better? I'm not sure which is better, weeping or sweating.
Sweating is not very appetizing.
Don't worry if it sweats. It actually tastes great when it's sweaty like that. And you can put it right back in and it's completely fine. Don't worry about it. But usually I eat it up. You don't have to worry about putting it back away.
So it is from the same region, La Mancha. that manchego comes from.
I love it.
It's actually from a little place called Montalban. That's what the name is.
Ricardo Montalban.
So Mr. Rourke from Fantasy Island. Actually, I was going to say he's, the cheese is named for Ricardo Montalban, but Ricardo Montalban, you know what? It's interesting. So the name Campo de Montalban means the fields of Montalban.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's what the name means. And it just refers to the...
Campo is fields?
Campo means fields. What's really interesting, it's the same root in Latin as champagne. Countryside. Is Campagna. It's the same also,
together.
Same root as, I mentioned mozzarella. There's a region in southern Italy called Campania. That's where the city of Naples is located.
Yes, I see where you're going. Yep.
That's the same root as well of this Latin word. So it's the same root. And of course, in regard to this cheese, it's the flavor of the fields. The animals are eating the fields.
Yeah.
Now,
it's delicious. I love this cheese.
Mr. Ricardo Montalban is he was a Mexican actor who was in Fantasy Island and a bunch of other stuff. But who knows, maybe his family was from Montalban.
Maybe,
I mean,
and
just
adopted the name.
It could be.
Could be. We have a question on cheese and charcuterie plates. From Katie. Is this something that we see here? Do we see it in Europe? And I can definitely answer to that. You definitely see it in Europe. It's not just here. Think of the Italian antipasto platter. And in Spain, just the tapas. I mean, tapas are the little plates. And when you go to the tapa bar, most of the choices are bowls of olives, cuts of meat, and hunks of cheese. So it's that trio, of just good things, is something that really the Europeans instilled in us. To make the cheese and charcuterie plates that we have today, which is thank you.
I'll tell you, I got in big trouble a few times at some of these tapas bars, Gina. So what they would do is they would have the tapas all out, and they would have you'd get the toothpicks.
Yes.
And then you would go turn in your toothpicks.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my God.
You never threw any toothpicks on the floor and tried to hide your toothpicks, did you? Yes.
Well, maybe when I was at college. But
yes.
It's like €100 later.
Right? Because it's too easy to eat. Pay by toothpick. Could we even get away with that here?
Oh man,
that would be so fun. But you're right. Pay by toothpick. That's awesome, right?
Yeah, boy.
But definitely
dangerous.
European thing, and
awesome. Charcuterie is. We should do some classes dedicated to that, meat plates or a mix.
Because the mix of it's all good. I mean, who's going to argue with just it all being good food? And who wants to we're just going to eat good food forever and go through and talk about them all. But the cheese and charcuterie, I'll still. What do I like more, the meat, or the cheese, or the charcuterie?
I like cheese more.
Cheese.
I think I go for the cheese more.
More than the meat.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. And me too, obviously.
Yeah. I think I could live without the meat. I don't think I could live without the cheese. To be honest.
No, can't happen.
Yeah.
Can't happen. Yeah. So.
That gets
mixed
us through
milk,
our plate.
the Montalban. Did everybody try your blue cheese stuffed olive yet? If you haven't, I want to try it with the Cava because... Did you try yours?
I will.
I gotta try it. I don't want it to squirt out. These Gordal olives, what makes them so spectacular? Well, first of all, you go to a Mexican restaurant, you get a bowl of chips and salsa. You go to Spain, and they'll sit in front of you. It took us a while to get used to it. Just a bowl of olives. And oftentimes it was Cerignolas or these Gordals, the fat ones.
Uh-huh.
Do you not love that? That's
so
not
good.
a salty olive. It
is not.
It's a meaty olive. It's really good. Comes from the Andalusia region of Spain, near Seville. It's a great olive. These come pitted like this, and we stuff them. I will not have a martini without one of these.
That's
I
a good
carry
olive.
these to a rest. I've done this. I've been known. I will carry my own little pack of them, just in case they don't have them, so that I can have a martini with these in them.
You carry hot sauce in your purse too?
I do not. Just blue cheese olives.
That to me, that's a lot of the blue cheese olives are just over the top with a saltiness, and that one is way more. It has kind of an umami to it.
It does. It's so good, and it's great with the bubbles. It's great with the sweet. Again, that meatiness and the sweetness.
Do you know what blue cheese was in there? It tasted really creamy.
It was really creamy. Typically, Rob, when we're doing the blue cheese olives, we're using like a Fourme d'Ambert, Senegor, just a French creamy style cheese. Typically, we'll put that in there.
Those
so
are
it's
double cream, cow's milk.
Yep, kind of blue cheeses. Do you know much more about the Marcona almond, though? Everyone asks, these almonds are great. We all see the almonds in the store that have the brown shirt on them. Since we were talking about that. These are naked. But they are fried in sunflower oil and salted.
Yeah.
They're so good. But Marconas are amazing. These are the best almond out there. Sorry, California almonds. You got nothing on the Marcona. These are so good. Yeah.
Lots of good Spanish stuff on this plate.
Yeah, we wanted to keep it Spain, to keep in the terroir of that. So someone, Kevin, love the blue cheese and hate olives. Do you like these olives, Kevin? They're so good. Or I keep saying Kevin's. I hope you like this olive. Maybe this can turn you into, like, blue cheese fan. This might turn somebody into a blue cheese fan or an olive fan.
If you're not an olive lover, try a Castelvetrano olive.
Oh, yeah.
I can understand, like the really bitter black olives or the really salty green olives, but Castelvetranos are they're from Sicily and they're really bright green, but they're really mild and buttery in flavor, and they're a good starter for people who say I love a challenge. And when people come in and they say they hate something or they don't like blue or goat or whatever the case is, I try to find something that is in that category that I think that is not like the stereotypical blue or goat or olive or something. Yeah,
just to experiment and combine.
And a good example is an aged goat cheese. I mean, it's like a give. If someone says they don't like goat cheese, and give them a goat Gouda, like a really sweet, mild goat Gouda,
like Midnight Moon.
Midnight Moon, honeybee goat.
Naked goat. That was the best naked goat I've had, Rob. I gotta say, sometimes it's very mild. This one had some flavor. You know why? I think it was sitting in a hot car for about 2 hours today as we were coming home, and it made it even better. Made it real delicious. Someone asked how we spell that olive. It's the Gordal. It's Gordal. The Gordal olive. And use all your blue cheese bits just to stuff olives.
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's just nothing goes to waste. Nothing. We'll use it in something. And did you know, if you have, like, let's say you can't finish your plate tonight, which would be super weird, but if you couldn't, gather up all your cheese bits. The beauty of cheese is it's fermented so that it doesn't go bad. That's what cheese is. It keeps milk from spoiling.
It is spoiled milk.
It's spoiled milk. Immortality of milk.
It's immortal milk.
Immortal milk is cheese. Blend it all together with a little garlic and cream, and you've got something called fromage fort, which is delicious, and it's just a little cheese spread. So cheese will never, ever, ever, ever have to go to waste. Grate it on your pasta, toss it in your stew, stuff it in your olive.
Your Parmigiano-Reggiano, if you ever have a rind on the Parmigiano-Reggiano, which these pieces don't. I don't know if anyone got rind on their wedge, but the rind is actually edible. It's really hard, so you have to do a little bit of work to make it really more edible. You know what I heard the Italians will do? They'll hold it over a flame. Ooh, like, that's kids a good one. Will do that. You'll hold it if you have like s'mores or something. Like s'mores, Italian s'mores on a gas stovetop or just a flame, a big lighter, I guess. I don't know. Hold the parm rind over that, and kids will just chew on that and eat that. So I tried it once. It was very fun, but most of the time I just toss it in soup stock or stew or something just to add really, really great flavor. Or if you have a slow cooker or something, crock pot. We have a blowtorch in one of the shops, a little mini blowtorch that we've used for some brulees and stuff. Oh, that's right, brulee. Brulee parm rind. Would the Italians frown on that? I'm not sure. I don't know, but I took the blowtorch to the rind, and it was the same thing as putting it over the fire. That's good stuff. Good stuff. James talked about. Oh, we're talking about charcuterie and stuff. James, Christmas time. Iberico jamón. Oh yeah. Iberico, the pigs that eat only the acorns. It is a delicious cut of meat. You don't have to buy the whole leg, James. You can go to the Del Mar shop and we can shave some of the leg for you, because we always try to keep some Iberico jamón in stock. How much is it? Most of the time at Christmas. It is about $100 a pound. I think it's $125 a pound. Is it $125? Rob knows better. $125 a pound, but you can just get maybe 10 slices, and it is a treat for the taste buds. And that'll be like $50. Yeah. So, and that'll be $50. But it's good. Oh, God, and you don't need so much. It just melts on your tongue, and you want. I mean, we don't cut off the fat because it's meant to be eaten. Yeah, you have to have the fat. Which then we did Solardo. Oh my God! See, we have so much to do for charcuterie and everything. Awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed Spain today. We kind of did have a nice Spanish. That was
tour.
good. We went to California. We went to Italy. We
did.
We went all over.
And we babbled on and on. If nobody has tried, did you try your
Not
Choco
yet.
Higo dessert fig? I'm gonna eat it right now and try to talk at the same time. But chocolate and figs good together. Now we have, Rob, you've seen the chocolate covered orange slices. The oranges from Valencia, Spain. Chocolate covered cherries. So they dip the cherries in liqueur.
We got those?
Dip they candy the cherries, dip it in liqueur, and cover it in chocolate. Remember you used to get the ones as a kid, like Russell Stover chocolate covered cherries? Okay, these are amped up because of the liqueur. But these are really, really good. So, thank you for all your questions. Kay Evans, I want to reach out to you. Congratulations on winning this. Like we said, Wino Wednesdays is every 2 weeks. Next Wino Wednesday is on the, what's the date? 24th. And we're going to go to Bordeaux.
Yes.
We thought we'd be doing all French.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance we'll be doing a lot of regional stuff, but we might throw in some surprises. You never know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Sunday, we have a session, our first jam session, where we're going to talk about the health benefits of cheese, but not just physical health, but mental health of cheese.
Yep.
The ultimate comfort food.
Eating
Enough
food.
babbling about this, but join us if you can. We sure appreciate it. Subscribe to our channel if you want to learn all about cheese and just have a good time and are bored and just want to watch two people being goofy and eat all day.
Come hang out with us.
Hang out with us anytime. We really appreciate it.
You're always welcome.
Thank you so much for your support.
Mwah.
Hope you all love cheese as much as we do.
Thank you all for the support.
Yeah,
We love you
appreciate it.
guys.
Take care, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Good. We got so many good comments.